And staying in the region, for years, American and Western travelers have enjoyed easy, visa-free access to many African nations. But now, Namibia is flipping the script. In a move that signals growing frustration over unequal travel policies, the country is introducing new visa requirements for US and other Western allies and visitors. Now, the officials say that it's about fairness and reciprocity, a step toward equality in global travel.
The world was not prepared for the thunderclap that echoed from Windhoek on that historic morning. With the poise of a seasoned revolutionary and the unshakable resolve of a leader who has spent a lifetime fighting for her people's dignity, Namibia's newly inaugurated president, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, delivered a proclamation that would send shock waves through the halls of Western power. Effective April 1st, 2025, the United States of America and 32 other non-reciprocating nations will no longer enjoy visa-free access to Namibian soil. In that moment, with cameras flashing and diplomats scrambling to process the implications, Africa found itself with a new symbol of defiance, a 72-year-old woman who had just rewritten the rules of engagement between the global south and the Western world. To understand the seismic nature of this decision, one must first grasp the grotesque asymmetry that has defined Africa's relationship with the West for generations. While American tourists could previously land at Hosea Kutako International Airport with nothing more than a smile and a passport, Namibians seeking to visit the United States face an obstacle course of indignities. A non-refundable $185 visa application fee, nearly a month's wage for many, lengthy interviews where applicants must prove they won't overstay, requests for bank statements, employment verification, and even social media profiles, rejection rates exceeding 40% with no explanation given. Meanwhile, European and American passport holders have enjoyed near-universal visa-free access across Africa, a lingering vestige of colonial entitlement that treats the continent as both playground and prize. France alone maintains military bases in a dozen African nations, while its citizens enjoy visa-free travel to 34. The United Kingdom, which once drew Africa's borders with a ruler and arrogance, now sees its citizens freely roaming those same lands, while Africans face ever-tightening immigration restrictions. President Nandi-Ndaitwah's decision shatters this paradigm. By instituting a $90 visa on arrival fee for Americans and citizens of other non-reciprocating nations, she has weaponized reciprocity, a concept so fundamental to diplomacy that its absence in Africa-West relations reveals the unspoken hierarchy the West has fought to maintain. Comparisons to Burkina Faso's Captain Ibrahim Traoré are inevitable and deliberate. At 37, Traoré became the face of Africa's youthful defiance when he expelled French troops, abandoned the CFA franc, and reoriented his nation toward Russia and the BRICS alliance. Now, at 72, Nandi-Ndaitwah proves that revolutionary fire knows no age limit. Her credentials read like a manifesto of resistance, joined SWAPO's armed wing at 16 to fight South Africa's apartheid occupation, endured imprisonment and torture at Robben Island alongside Mandela's comrades, rose through Namibia's political ranks despite systemic sexism and liberation movements, refused Western capacity-building programs that came with strings attached. Africa has been the doormat of the world for too long, she declared in her landmark address. When they humiliate us at their embassies, then call us partner nations. That is not diplomacy, that is domination. And domination has an expiration date. Within hours of the announcement, Western think tanks and media outlets shifted into damage control. Cite, economists warned of tourism collapse in Namibia's vital safari industry, quoted anonymous U.S. State Department officials threatening reassessment of bilateral relations, that published dire projections of job losses in Namibia's hospitality sector. What these reactions betray is not genuine concern for Namibia's economy, but sheer panic at seeing the colonial script flipped. The unspoken rule of post-colonial Africa has always been clear. Western nations may impose whatever restrictions they deem necessary, but African nations must remain forever open for business, exploitation, and extraction. Nandi-Ndaitwah's genius lies in exposing this hypocrisy while offering a perfectly reasonable alternative. Unlike the U.S. system designed to deter and exclude, Namibia's new visa process is streamlined. Apply online in minutes or obtain upon arrival. Flat $90 fee, less than half what Namibians pay for U.S. visas. Guaranteed 90-day stay for all approved applicants. This isn't about closing doors, Namibia's immigration minister clarified. It's about walking through the same doors they force us to knock on. the continental response has been nothing short of electric. South Africa's ruling ANC party introduced legislation to review visa reciprocity. Ghana, president praised Namibia's Dignity Restoration Project. Activists launched Generous Reciprocity, now protests outside Western embassies. Perhaps most significantly, Alliance of Sahel States, AES, comprising Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, issued a joint statement applauding Namibia's move while announcing plans for a unified Sahel visa policy. The era of unilateral imposition is over, Dakar, declared Captain Traoré. Let this be noticed to all former colonial powers. Africa is resetting the terms. Detractors argue that Namibia risks economic suicide by antagonizing Western tourists who contribute nearly $300 million annually. But this view fundamentally misunderstands Africa's shifting economic landscape. 1. The rise of intra-African tourism. The African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, has unlocked a 1.4 billion person market. Middle-class Africans now account for 45% of leisure travel on the continent. Namibia's See Africa First campaign saw a 22% increase in Nigerian and Kenyan visitors in 2024, with Namibia's formal BRICS membership pending. Russian, Chinese, and Indian tourists who already face visa requirements are expected to fill any gaps. BRICS' new development bank has earmarked $500 million for African Tourism Infrastructure 3, the symbolic dividend. Early data shows a 17% surge in bookings from Pan-Africanists deliberately choosing Namibia to support its stance. Cultural festivals like Windhoek Unshackled have drawn global attention. As Nandi-Ndaitwah noted, if our dignity has a price, it certainly isn't the crumbs of Western tourism dollars. Namibia's move provides a masterclass in tactical sovereignty that other global South nations are already studying. Phase 1: Legal Preparation. Namibia quietly amended its Immigration Act months before the announcement, built a real-time electronic visa system with BRICS technical support. Phase 2: Diplomatic Insulation. Secured backup aviation deals with Qatar Airways and Ethiopian Airlines in case Western carriers retaliate. Preemptively signed mineral trade agreements with China to offset potential Western sanctions. Phase 3: Narrative Control. Launched a multilingual media blitz explaining the policy's fairness. Mobilized African diasporas to counter Western media narratives. Phase 4: Continental Solidarity. Initiated talks with 15 AU members to form a reciprocity bloc. Proposed an African visa policy scorecard to name and shame unequal arrangements. The West's response is unfolding along predictable lines. 1. Soft power onslaught. USAID suddenly discovering governance programs for Namibian civil society. European museums accelerating the return of Namibian artifacts, a tactic used to co-opt Ghana in 2023. 2. Economic coercion. Credit rating agencies threatening downgrades over policy unpredictability. Suspicious travel advisories about increased bureaucracy in Namibia. 3. Divide and conquer. France lobbying ECOWAS to condemn Namibia's unilateralism. UK offering Commonwealth scholarships to Namibian students with stipulations, but Nandi-Ndaitwah's government anticipated these moves. Their counter-strategy includes a patriotic economic front to monitor foreign NGO activities, legislation requiring parliamentary approval for all bilateral aid agreements, a continental media fund to combat Western misinformation. In her most radical stroke yet, President Nandi-Ndaitwah has proposed the Windhoek Protocol, a treaty that would establish a Pan-African visa reciprocity enforcement mechanism, create an AU sanctions regime against nations practicing visa apartheid, launch an African passport strength index to benchmark global access. This isn't just about visas, she told a rapturous crowd in Katutura Township. It's about finally decolonizing the very idea of who gets to move freely in this world. As the implications settle, one truth becomes undeniable. Namibia has handed Africa its most potent weapon since the era of armed liberation struggles, the weapon of symmetric reciprocity. By turning the West's own rules against it, Nandi-Ndaitwah has exposed the fragility of a system built on double standards. From the dunes of the Namib to the streets of Lagos, a new chant is rising: what they do to us, we now do to them. In this simple refrain lies the unraveling of centuries of imposed hierarchy. The Berlin Conference of 1884 drew Africa's borders to serve colonial interests. The Windhoek Declaration of 2025 may well be remembered as the moment Africa redrew the boundaries of global power, not with guns, but with the irresistible force of equality's demand. As the sun sets over the Atlantic, casting golden light on Namibia's skeletal coast, one can almost hear the whispers of ancestors who fought for this moment. Their question lingers in the wind. Who will join Namibia in saying enough? The world waits for Africa's answer.